I'm Shirley Robinson. I taught here at St. James in the music program for 20 years, from 1994 to whatever.
20 years after,
That's right.
Yeah.
I came from a public school setting. I had taught 30 years in the public school.
I'm Linda Krueger, and I followed this legacy at St. James, taught preschool. It was August, I think like 10 days before school was going to start, and I met with Sister Kathleen, and it was such a joy because she was very energetic and very enthused about the school. This is my 11th year then. Sister Kathleen told me, now we do a big Christmas program. Kids were talking about it from day one. So I knew the Christmas program was something very, very special.
I wanted to do something special because I had been stopped from having Christmas programs. They would let a winter program was okay, but not a Christmas program. And I miss teaching and celebrating music of Christmas. I said to the 8th graders, you put on the Christmas program this year. And they said, what? And I said, I think you guys could do it. I will always be the director. I choose the music, but you choose the theme. You can help write the script, and I think we could really have a good team with this. My goal was to teach them the process of working together so that you can put something together. The first year was the gifts of Christmas. The next year it was, and I can remember this, was the legend of the trees, because they said, couldn't we get trees in? It just kind of evolved into 3 trees who turned into something for Christmas. It's amazing. I found such creativity, and I found such enthusiasm and willing to work. That was the process. It started in October for me. I said, we'll put down 6 ideas. We'll just brainstorm them. Just after we pick the 6, then got the title.
And the process is quite the learning process for them. I saw that too. They start out with ideas, and even in 7th grade, I've heard some of the 7th graders say, oh, next year we get to lead it and what they want to do with it. And the process, I think, was real learning for the kids, because it wasn't always pleasant for the teachers and not for them, because a lot of discussion, a lot of heated discussion. Like Shirley said, the process is learning, and you learn to collaborate with each other. It's not a no, it's a yes. And no idea was bad. When we're putting the Christmas program together, there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of, well, what are we going to do this? What are we going to do? What are we going to, oh, no, I don't want to do that. No way. But what are the benefits of it? The second year I was here in January as we were evaluating, and I said, well, I'd like to put together a list of top 10 benefits for the Christmas program. They came up with a list of top 10. I think that was when David Letterman was famous with his top 10 list. And we as a Christian community have to think about what Christmas gives us beyond just presents and Santa Claus. But here's the list. Number 10, students memorize Christmas songs. The audience participates. Number 9, supports school values and philosophy. Number 8, spotlights 8th grade leadership skills and group pride. Number 7, experience collaborative process. There's number 6, builds student creativity, builds confidence, and you work together. Number 5, the value of tradition. Number 4, it builds school, staff, class identity. Number 3, gifts to families and community. There's an outreach and a witness. I think the witness would be that Jesus is part of our celebration.
I always felt too that the gift was to our older generation that's in the church. The people who are supporting are eager to see children in the best light. I think seeing children disciplined, to be able to stand up with composure, is something that is a gift to older people, to say, look what we're helping to do. Look at what our school is like. I always said that to the kids. I know you're nervous, who knows what's going to happen. It's okay, put a waste basket over there on the side. If you have to throw up, go throw up on that.
Which did happen a couple times on my tenure.
It does. It is a gift to the older generation that's supporting us. And I thought it was a showstopper every time.
Of course it was.
I had many surprises myself, because in the middle of programs sometimes a child will do something that is just remarkable. Never did it in a rehearsal. And there they did it. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, that was really good. Another thing I really like is having the teachers in the programs. Sometimes doing a reading part, sometimes performing something, which the children love. They love to see. Could I tell you about the time we had the many faces of Mary? Being Mary was the top thing to be.
Yes, if you
And
were
when I came here, they said, we write themes and then about Mary, and you have to pick the theme to be Mary. And I said, no way. I'm not going to read themes. I said, I'm going to pick them out of a hat. Well, that took a little discussion, but they said, pick it out of the hat. And I said, yeah, somebody get a hat and we'll just pick Mary. Well, I went to pick Mary and I thought, well, what is this theme that we're thinking? And it wasn't that it was going to be, the many countries kind of thing. And suddenly it dawned on me that we could have as many Marys as we wanted. And they'd all be dressed in different
ethnic
costumes. Do you know, that was the most unbelievable. I mean, I was stunned because 6 Marys, girls in the class, they were all Marys and they came up with their own ethnic background. We had a gal from Syria and she came in with a baby and they all got their own babies. What are we going to do for a baby? I said, well, I guess you're going to have to go out and find one. And they
just had a baby.
They went out and found their babies and they found their costumes. One was a Native American and one was an Asian. And these mothers walked down the aisle, for the nativity. And they each had a baby, and they all stood up there, and do you know, not one baby cried? That was a miracle in itself. But other times, the Mary problem with the picking out of the hat. I remember one time, a whole group of girls came and said, I think you made a mistake, Mrs. Robinson. You didn't have all the boys' names in. Obviously, they weren't happy with Joseph. But yes. God spoke again, and I said, well, they said he was just too short. Mary was too tall, and it wouldn't look good. And I said, well, we don't really know whether he was short or tall. So I said, well, we'll just choose the shorter Mary. They all ran down the steps. They understood there are other ways to fix a problem than theirs. Short Joseph and a taller Mary, and it was delightful.
That's been part of the Christmas program too, is that live nativity has been the kind of the climax at the end, and that was always just the 8th grade class doing that made it very special. And that goes with number 2. We have 2 more besides the benefits. This is great. I love this. But number 2 is the best memory for students and alumni reunions, and that kind of developed too. And I think if you asked alumni to speak about it, they may remember from their class who's Mary, who's Joseph, what they were doing at that live nativity. And I think having a live baby has been part of it, and that's one of the processes. You find out, okay, who just had a baby? Which family just had a baby? And if it was an 8th grade grader's family, that was all the better, and it had to be someone who they practiced with. And Mary had to learn, and we tell Joseph, well, now if Mary's having trouble, you got to help like a dad would help. And it's been cute to watch the scenario of live nativity as it comes together with a live baby spirit.
Sometimes an angel would bring the baby down the aisle, and sometimes Joseph didn't carry the baby, but would go over from Mary and pick up the baby. And it was just whatever they felt like doing. You are a family, and how does a family react? I remember, in fact, it was the same Joseph.
The short one?
Yes, the short one who went and picked up the baby and took him over to the shepherds to show him the baby. Sometimes my heart stood still, don't drop the baby. It was remarkable. One time, 2 of the 8th graders improvised a beautiful lullaby. They serenaded the baby during the nativity. So creative about what they could do and found that they could do. So it was a joy for me.
I think it's a great time that we listen to children, and here's a chance for them to be the tellers. People are listening to them, and they have a wonderful sense of wonder and telling a story that the rest of us learn from. But the number 1 reason for having a St. James Christmas program is to celebrate the birth of a Savior to the nation. And I think that as a church community is one of the greatest powers, the power we have. Certainly the children are going to bring the Savior to the world through other means, and sometimes Jingle Bells comes into the picture, sometimes other songs from outside of the sacred come into the picture, but we always have a return to the Creator himself in the live nativity. And of course music has a great power and bring people together. I remember the year where we had to postpone the program because of snowstorms. We couldn't do anything about it because I think it was 2012 maybe. It was a disappointment to the kids, I think, more than anything else. And then we did it the week after we came back. You know what? The kids' voices were much more rested. I could feel their voices were more healthy. But their voices were definitely, I thought, heavenly after Christmas. I think the scenery and the costumes, all of them, the kids came up with wonderful. The one year that they were the Wizard of Oz characters, they looked just like the Wizard of Oz characters. They came up with some really believable costuming, you know, and that helps them get into the characters too.
There was a program that was special for the 100th anniversary of the school and church. Being the centennial, we wanted something special. Teachers all became the nuns that were here 100 years ago. We got costumes, and Christmas program was based on a lot of alumni. 8th graders wrote letters to alumni and asked them what Christmas programs were like for them and what school was like for them in December. And the alumni wrote back. Some of the teachers took part of the alumni and read some of the things that they said about the Christmases. And that was so wonderful. And then 2 alumni sang the school song that was written when they were in school here in 8th grade. The kids did not know the teachers were going to be nuns. Bell rang, doors opened in the back, teachers processed in. You have never heard children so quiet in a Christmas program in your life. The pews. It was a wonderful, shocking thing for them.
But the kids, that's the highlight of the program for them, is to see the teachers up there together doing something.
Like one time I remember the teachers did a song that was something about Santa relies on Mrs. Santa more than you think.
Final of the program would be having alumni come forward to sing Peace, Peace with Silent Night, a partner song. That has grown to a big impact on the program. That's the final. After the live nativity, then we sing together, telling this message, which of course is the birth of our Savior and the joy that we have at Christmas. Now it's in the children's hands, and they never disappoint.
I have found in my retirement that when any of the students from St. James stop in to see me, they always remember the Christmas program. There is a lot that performing teaches children, gives them confidence, gives them ability to stand up at a microphone, understand that they will make a mistake, cannot go through life without mistakes. It's okay, because sometimes mistakes lift people up. You feel that people want you to do better. I loved it. The faculty was fantastic. They saw the value for children. And isn't that why we're here? And that's what I think the Christmas program is, a valuable thing for children, and I think it's valuable for our whole church.